Hello, Internet.
Hi, Internet.
Look how burnt my face is, Internet.
Look how faces burn is.
How face is yeah. So everybody in Vancouver who gets all horny when the sun comes out, I hate you because by your peer pressure, you did this to me. This isn't my fault for being out in the sun without sunscreen. It's everybody in Vancouver's fault because they get so horny whenever the sun comes out.
On that note, I'd like to welcome everyone to episode 169
69
of Outrage Factory, the sex number. We're joined today by my lovely wife, Kate Bolin, I guess.
Yeah.
Kate.
Oh, I have a question.
Okay.
Because I kept when I was posting about this, I wanted to put Derek's wife, Kate, but I didn't know if that's
that's her whole identity. He belongs to me.
Yes.
Do you feel like that is not empowering or kind of lessens your, I guess, personhood-ish? I don't know.
I mean, I don't know if you've read Twitter or not, but my husband is a deadbeat dad misogynist. So
toxic.
And toxic male. So it's basically Handmaid's Tale over here. So
nice.
Yes.
I am his property.
She does identify as my property.
Yeah.
Who said you were a deadbeat dad? That's the only thing in that string of things that was untrue.
Oh, Lord.
Maybe that was me. I don't know.
It was actually her saying
Oh, yeah. And I mean, toxic masculinity, it's I'm definitely guilty of that. Even though we were on a podcast forever ago talking about toxic masculinity, it's almost it's hard to know when to stop. Because there's it's the whole Sophie's Choice, I guess, just fucking exaggerate it to its fullest content. No, it's on one hand, you got to be true to yourself as a male and express your inner anger and testosterone. Otherwise, you get your smash juice backed up. But you don't want to be too male right now, at least on the internet. You got to I guess save that for when no one's looking.
Reel in your masculinity.
Yeah.
You are talking to a guy who did just purchase a wrestling belt for Fantasy Hockey League. So
yeah.
Sponsored by UndisputedBelts.com.
Yeah, go there. It's funny too because it's not the championship belt, it's the loser bracket belt, because we already have this god awful giant trophy which your brother has right now, but we were I'm in the loser bracket and I have a chance to win the loser bracket, and I was that's the only reason. I was hey, I should get a belt because then I could have a wrestling belt. It was actually Levi's idea because he was the first one who just out of nowhere a couple of weeks ago, he was hey, we should get a belt for the fantasy hockey. And then it's just been at the back of my mind.
And you made it for the loser bracket so that you have a shot of winning it rather than the winner's bracket. Yeah,
I was the first champion of the league, but I haven't won since then. I feel I should be proud of myself for not getting a cornhole champion belt because that's hilarious. Because I don't know, in the States, they still call that game cornhole and they don't get how innuendo funny that is.
Maybe we do, and we're just the ones that are in on it.
That's true, I guess. Maybe. So.
Do
you want to talk more about our fantasy?
Should we get Kate to do a little intro about herself beyond just being my wife?
Yeah, tell us a bit about yourself, Kate. This is your second time on the podcast.
Thanks for having me back.
No problem.
Other than being Derek's hand servant, I am a podcaster myself, the After Party.
Nice.
I'm from Philly suburbs, so I'm an exotic American wife. And yeah, I also got sunburnt yesterday when I was with you.
Do you guys play cornhole in Philly?
Love it.
I have cornholed her in Philly.
He has.
Awesome. I can see why you didn't want us to put your last name on this podcast. Yeah. So is that all you want to say? So your podcast, The After Party, you can find that on
wherever you get your podcasts.
It's weird because you guys, Derek, it's hosted on the same transistor as ours, but there's no like. It's weird that you
No,
can't
it's not
go.
anymore.
What?
It's not anymore.
Oh, why not? Is
Long
it awkward?
story, but
Okay.
now it's on Anchor,
What's Anchor?
another platform.
Okay. What is on Transistor then, Derek? Is it just ours or is it ours and your Bo
Like our
Bridey
first 20 episodes,
one? Oh, okay.
or 5.
Cool. Nice. Well, I was going to say it's weird how you can't get from like we all have there's like what 3 shows on the Transistor and it's weird that you can't just go between them.
Well,
Like what?
that's intentional.
Oh, you
Like,
don't want
I don't want you having access to any of the others because God knows.
yeah, no, I know that makes sense. You wouldn't want me in the back end, but it's like of listeners to be like, oh, I like Derek's voice. I want to listen to this other show he's on.
Yeah.
But don't just listen to this one twice.
I
That
think we
way,
should start
yeah.
like a podcast umbrella. Like
Network.
yes, a network.
Yeah, but
We talked about it.
then what would you want to call it? The Outrage Network or
Bros and
Something else.
hoes.
Bros and Hoes?
Yeah.
Nice.
The Cornhole Network.
Portfolio.
Yeah. So do you want to just do this still, or do you want to talk about actual stuff that happened?
You mean just like talk back and forth?
Yeah.
Didn't we do? We did enough of that.
No, we could do more.
yesterday.
Let's get to the news.
Yeah, we saw each other in real life. That's why this podcast
We
is so
did?
awkward.
We're not
we
allowed
already-
to do that, are we?
Yeah, we are.
Are we allowed to do that?
Yeah, we've been vaccinated, Derek.
Yeah, but they're still very unclear on, and maybe we could talk
You
about
don't
that.
say- Yeah, let's talk about. Oh, that's a perfect thing to talk about. The fucking shit show that is BC's vaccination rollout. Because at first they were good. They were like, okay, you sign up on this government website, and then the government will tell you when the government's going to give you a vaccine. And then everybody's like, that sounds orderly and like organized. Then BC was like, oh, fuck it. We just gave it to all the pharmacies and just fuck it. I don't know, call the pharmacy, see if you can get in. And then there was a rush. And then that was with the AstraZenecas. And then they started with 55 to 65 for AstraZeneca. And then they're like, you know what? Fuck it. Let's drop it to 40. Nobody's getting it. And then they dropped it to 40. And then everybody rushed out to get it. And then they're like, oh, that worked. And then, but the weird thing was it was at all the pharmacies, but they were supposed to help address the problematic zones, which is mostly Surrey and Fort McMurray. Or wait.
Fort McMurray's in Alberta.
Yeah. What's the one in BC?
Dawson Creek?
Yeah, that's where Sam lives. One of our, I don't know if he still listens, but yeah.
Probably not, because he got COVID and died.
No,
he's still alive.
Mm-hmm.
I want to say that like nothing has made me more of a libertarian over the past year than just like seeing how the BC government has like they started off and it was pretty good. And I think they coasted for a while on like the fact that BC residents are like, we're generally amicable, we're deferent to authority. And we managed to avoid like any major COVID issues here, outbreaks. And for a long time in like major population centers in North America, I think we were like at or near the bottom for cases and deaths. Yeah. And then since then, it's just been like, just a like clusterfuck. Like the regulations are strangling small businesses and they're announcing them like, they're not giving these businesses any warning. I think the last restaurant shutdown they did, it was like the night before and they were like, as of tomorrow night, you cannot have indoor dining.
No, it was that day. They're like at 3 p.m. today.
Yeah.
And then everybody was like, that was happened up at Whistler. They're like, fuck. So they laid off every restaurant worker in Whistler and they all got like fucking depressed. So they went and had a party at Charlie Victoria's. And we talked about that a couple episodes ago.
We did. And then with the vaccine thing, there are people. So everyone went to the government website to sign up for their vaccine like they were supposed to.
Yeah.
And there's still thousands of people waiting to get notification that they can get a vaccine. And meanwhile, this past week, the government was just like, fuck it, we're doing pop-up clinics. Show up at this place, first come, first serve. It was allegedly to address, like you said, hotspots. So places where there's been like really strong case growth, and they want to get people vaccinated there. But then they announced these pop-ups and people just show up and line up like there was one close to our house by the gym that you and I used to go to. And Kate and I walked by it and there were thousands of people lined up, and they're not doing any checks to see if these people actually live in the hotspots. They were just like, if you're here, if you're in line, you're getting a vaccine. So now you have all these people who, and I think this has kind of become true over the course of the pandemic. You have all these people who have been following the rules and doing shit by the book like they're supposed to, and they're the ones who get fucked. And meanwhile, everyone who like, it did skew towards like people who could work from home or people who just like obsessively monitor Twitter, which are the worst people in the world, I would like to add, and do not deserve a vaccine. So they're just like, I don't know. Like, I get that the goal is to vaccinate as many people as possible, but can you also do that in a way that like, hey, maybe notify the people who have already signed up and let them know that these clinics are going on, instead of just like being like, well, it's a fucking free for all. And if you show up, maybe you get vaccinated. Who knows? Yeah,
never mind having this pop-up clinic and they're being like, oh, there's like fucking hundreds of people just mashed together. Like, it's not as bad to be mashed together outside, but it's like, you're not supposed to have 10 people grouping up and you're not supposed to like just meet everybody and hang out. But then they're like, oh, fuck, everybody come here. We'll give you a shot if you're here in time.
Show up in a giant crowd, hang out in a crowd for 10 hours.
Yeah.
Hope none of you have COVID.
And meanwhile, it's like, sorry, I was going to say, and it's like Horgan, what the fuck is he doing? He's just like, oh, let's get this Bonnie Henry chick and Adrian Dix to handle this. I'm just going to go be like fucking weirdo stepdad who's trying to be like the kid's friend and not actually laying down any hard rules for anything.
Yeah. Meanwhile, you have, and I would love to get your opinion on this, is like in the States, you know, Canadians were all smug through the first like 10 months of that pandemic. We were like, oh, we're not America. Look at the shit show down there. No one's following rules. Their healthcare system sucks. And all of a sudden you have this like complete role reversal now where they gave out like 220 million vaccine doses or 200 million vaccine doses in Biden's first 100 days of office, which was like his goal was initially 100. And then halfway through his first 100 days, he was like, well, let's just double that. And they hit that. And I think one in 3 American adults is fully vaccinated now. So, Kate, what's your take on that?
So I actually haven't been paying much attention to the vaccines on either side. I've had friends that were vaccinated as soon as like January that worked in the healthcare industry. And so pretty much everyone I know is vaccinated already, except for like a handful of people that are just like
anti-vaxxers
against the vaccine. They're questioning it. Mm-hmm. And then, so now I'm like, here and everything's on lockdown. And like today I literally was like looking at Instagram and I was like, oh, cool. Like these people are like actually in a club with a DJ, like dancing with each other. And I'm like, this just feels so backwards. So, and I haven't been paying attention to vaccines in the States because it's just like something that's not on the table for me. I can't get a vaccine here because they don't have AstraZeneca in the States. So I'm just...
Meanwhile,
freeballing
we talk so much shit, but a Canadian could go to America and get vaccinated right now. But
would you have to pay if you did that?
No, I went. So when I went to the States on one of my trips over the past year, I had to get a COVID test to come back. Are you doing a sunburn test on yourself?
Sorry, I was like, this one cheek looks really red. I feel like it looks like I'm really mad.
That's good.
Outrage
That's
Factory.
on brand for the podcast.
Yeah.
I felt so I had to get a COVID test to get back into Canada. And I was like, oh, you know, American healthcare system, totally going to fuck me, going to make me pay out of pocket. I was prepared to pay, $300 to $400 American to get this test, and I just
Mhm.
show up at a CVS and they give me a test for free.
And how much
Oh,
did you have to
nice.
pay here?
Here I had to pay what was it, $200 here to get a test to travel to the States.
Oh, they call it something else. I can't remember what they call it, but it's
the
like
PCR test. But in the States, a Canadian could get tested for free. So I think, we like to talk a lot of shit about how our healthcare system is better. And we talked about this with Marty a few weeks ago on an episode. I am starting to suspect that might not actually be true, and that socialized healthcare, it totally has its benefits and pros. And I will not shit talk the entire system, but I will say that a lot of the ways we administer things are ass backwards and not what you would expect from a first world country. And never mind the fact that the only vaccine people are able to get in Canada right now, for the most part, by and large, is the one with the most significant proportion of health risks and the lowest efficacy.
Wasn't
also,
that
too,
Johnson and Johnson?
Okay,
Wasn't
we got a big shipment of that coming now too.
Yeah, that's coming too.
The ones that don't give you blood clots and protect you better are mostly available in the States.
And then also, too, everyone that I know that's vaccinated is fully vaccinated, where everyone here is just half vaccinated.
Yeah, they give us one shot and they're like, fuck, maybe come back in 4 months.
4 months.
Like, yeah, I remember when I got it. I was like, so are you guys going to call me? They're like, we don't know when they're coming in.
Right.
We'll maybe call you. You don't have to come back here. You could go somewhere else. I'm like, okay, then I should have just waited for the J&J and not have to worry about the second shot.
Yeah, the pharmacist I talked to was like, I have no idea. She was like, wait to hear from the government. And I was like, that has gone super fucking well for me so far. So
yeah,
I'm still waiting for back surgery.
I just want to say, though, I am a quasi anti-vaxxer in that I got the AstraZeneca vaccine, but I wouldn't have gotten the Moderna or the Pfizer because that turns you into a GMO person.
Dale's a vaccine truther. He listened to a Joe Rogan episode. And
I listened to all the Joe Rogan
vaccine
episodes.
Truther,
I'm aware,
vaccine
Dale.
elitist.
Yeah. I mean,
Well,
it's weird because I'm a vaccine elitist, but I like the one that everybody hates. Like the main reason nobody's in these trouble spots is getting the AstraZeneca, like the older people, because they heard about the blood clots and they're all scared to get it. Whereas us young people were like, fuck, we could live through a blood clot. We'll get that.
yeah.
I figure by the time I get home, I'll be able to choose whichever one I want. So
Yeah, because you said they were going to start giving the J&J back in the States, didn't you?
yeah, they already started with that.
Oh, nice.
By the time you go home, they'll probably have people on airplanes to vaccinate you as you come into the country.
That would be great.
Have you guys heard about all the ghetto other vaccines around the world, like Sputnik and what's the one in China called? Is it just called China?
It's a Sinovac.
Okay.
Wait, wasn't there Russia? They sent contaminated vaccines to Brazil.
Yeah, they sent ones to Brazil that had the common cold virus in it. So I think what happened was they built this is me just guessing. I'm not a scientist.
I just read the headline.
Everybody's going pretty hard after Joe Rogan because he's not a scientist. And I don't know anybody who ever thought he was, but I just want to say I am not a scientist, but if you want to come after me and make this podcast trend, I'm totally fine with that. But what I'm guessing
more problematic.
What I'm guessing happened is the Sputnik vaccine in Russia was built on the common cold virus because COVID is related to that. I don't know, there's something about the sciencey technical thing about how it kind of is the same sort of respiratory virus. So maybe they started building on that to turn it the start of the vaccine was the cold virus. Then they did science to it to make it a COVID vaccine. And maybe the ones they sent to Brazil hadn't fermented or cooked enough. I'm not getting too sciencey, am I? Are you guys still following me?
No, I got it.
You lost me when you said they did science on it.
Yeah, I know, right? It's hard. It's
right
hard.
over my head.
Can we talk about how your favorite shithead Joe Rogan fucking?
Let's talk about my Lord and Savior Joe Rogan Christ.
Let's talk about how.
The best part was it's like he said like, and that like everybody's heard the clip by now, I assume. Derek posted it on my Twitter page, but it's funny because as everything else Joe Rogan, it's like he does 3-hour shows and then people are like, oh shit, when they were talking for 2 hours and drinking whiskey, they said this one problematic thing. So I'm going to like cut it out. And what he was saying was that 20-year-old people who are super healthy and have all their vitamins and stuff shouldn't be taking the vaccine. And then they cut that clip out. But the funny thing was right after he said that, someone was like, well, what if they spread it to someone who's like vulnerable? Like they're not just like one of the main arguments that Derek presented was you're not vaccinating for just you, you're vaccinating for anybody you come into contact with. And Joe Rogan was like, well, shouldn't those people already be vaccinated? Like, because the States is so far ahead in their vaccination that you'd figure all of the vulnerable groups would already have it done.
So Joe Rogan, the world's biggest, dumbest idiot, he did eventually end up walking those comments back. But like the problem with that is that you have this mass vaccination campaign going on. And the goal of this campaign is to maybe not eradicate COVID, but like get to a point where enough people in the population have immunity and the virus just can't, like viruses need hosts to spread to.
Yeah.
Right? Is that
just keep going. Pretend you didn't punch the mic.
So if you have a lot of 20-year-olds getting unvaccinated because they are otherwise healthy, you have a virus that will continue making the rounds and being circulated because you haven't achieved herd immunity. And as we've already seen with the variants of concern or mutations or whatever the fuck this thing does, like the COVID virus mutates very easily.
Yeah. Because it was manufactured in, just kidding.
Yeah, obviously. They engineered it to do that in that Chinese laboratory.
The science that they did to COVID made it so it changes very fast.
100%. So whether you're fucking young and healthy or not, get vaccinated. If you're young and healthy and you're getting a vaccine, you have nothing to worry about except maybe blood clots. But that's the whole secondary.
That was like 6 people.
Then you wouldn't be healthy, right?
So
you want yourself to be that special. You're not going to get blood clots. Nobody cares about you. Also, the only reason you're getting blood clots from the vaccine is it's making your body think you had the virus a tiny bit. So if you're getting a blood clot from the vaccine, you probably would have got a lot of blood clots from the actual virus. So getting like a little blood clot from the vaccine is better than getting a fuck ton from the virus. Because we've heard, like we talked about it, or I guess you weren't here, but when me and Brandy and Andrew were talking about this guy who got blood clots in his pee-pee because he like from the virus. So it like, it's just like,
from the virus, not just.
So basically the virus gives people a lot of blood clots. And if you're laying on your stomach, the blood clots go into your pee-pee. So, and the vaccine gives like a little bit of blood clots.
Is that, do you want to do your I am not a science?
Yeah. I mean, it's pretty obvious I'm not a scientist.
I mean, unofficial
I'm too good looking to be a scientist.
It's true. You are. They never allow you. Tennille made a great point in the comments in that there is also a lot of people who just can't get vaccinated, like immunocompromised people with cancer, people with like underlying health conditions, pregnant people. So the goal is to protect other people, and you can't have public figures making statements like, oh, if you're otherwise healthy and young, don't get vaccinated. That's not the fucking point. There needs to be a campaign that like somehow makes people give a shit about other people, not just themselves. And I know that's a
tough sell, Derek. Making me care about other people. It's going to take more than just a campaign. It's going to take dollars.
Well,
therapy.
Therapy. Nah. What was I gonna say? Yeah, like I don't know. Like on one hand, yeah, it's fucking terrible what he said, but on the other hand, he said this while they only have the choice of Moderna and Pfizer, and then there's this other thing. It's like, why is the AstraZeneca okay for us but not them? Like usually the States is way more loosey goosey with their like medical stuff and the pills and the pharmaceuticals that they'll approve compared to Canada. Like if you like historically, the US is way more tight or lenient with what gets approved and what doesn't and what testing you're allowed to do than Canada. So it's like, what's going on that it's allowed to be for us? Like, who's wrong? Is our government wrong for giving us this dangerous vaccine? Or is the US government wrong for keeping this totally fine vaccine away from their people?
I don't think it's that they're not approving the vaccine for health reasons. It's the United States is fucking swimming in vaccines right now. Like they have more than enough vaccines with just the Pfizer and Moderna supply that they don't need to fuck around with that AstraZeneca, which was also a like they're going to lean towards the American made vaccines, which is like a big thing in America. So that those are the two that are available to them, and Johnson and Johnson. Sorry, 3. They don't need to import a foreign vaccine.
I thought Zeneca was made in the States, or was it just handled at that factory that made the Moderna one?
It was manufactured in the States, but it was actually Oxford University, I think. And so it was smart. Like, yeah, it was made in Britain, like or conceived of by a British company.
Wait, is that why we got it? Like some fucking weird thing with the Commonwealth and the Queen?
Yeah, the monarchy. They basically said if you have the Queen on your money, you can have this vaccine, and if you have presidents on your money, you can get the other ones.
Queen Mom was like, if you don't want it, you're too good for our vaccine. We'll give it to Canada because they still call us on Mother's Day. That's my Queen impersonation.
That was great. We need to have at least one per episode.
Hey, don't worry. I will give you at least one per episode. Yeah, but it's like, I don't know. And another, like, it's so hard because it's like this happened. And then on one hand, you're like, well, he shouldn't be saying that. But on the other hand, it's like, let's just turn to the facts and what the experts say. And the experts are just saying like one thing, then a different thing. And it's like, if there was just some place you could go, like say a site, like if the CDC was just like good and didn't say one thing and then change their mind a couple months later.
The CDC has a website that says everyone over the age of 18 should get vaccinated. The entire medical establishment in the United States is saying everyone over the age of 18. This isn't, the government didn't communicate things effectively. This is Joe Rogan saying something fucking dumb. And like I said, like it was irresponsible. I don't know that people really comprehend how irresponsible it is to say shit like this in the middle of a public health crisis, but it's dumb. It was dumb of him to say.
Yeah.
It's dumb of people with audiences to frame vaccines in a way that like, everyone should only be looking out for themselves, which is something that is like just core to the culture in the United States. Forgive me if I'm wrong, but it's like the individualism versus the collective good, and like look out for yourself first and look out for other people second.
The libertarianism.
Yeah, which like I'm definitely leaning more that way now. But at some point, if it's a public health issue, the first word in that is public, which means everybody. And you can't have guys like Joe Rogan, even if he's saying one fucking thing and that's the only thing that everyone latches onto. You can't have people with massive platforms using them to say that people shouldn't get vaccinated for any reason, unless the reason is the vaccine will kill you, which I want to go on record saying, I don't think it will.
Yeah, I don't know. I think a lot of people aren't like, one of the thing I heard some like complaints from a person who wasn't going to get vaccinated. They were like, what about soft tissue cancer in 10 years? And I was like, well, I don't know because I'm not a scientist, but for myself personally, I smoked for 9 years. So it's like nothing any vaccine can do will be worse than what I did to myself by smoking.
Well, yeah, I mean, you're a sober person. I'm a sober person. I've seen you sharing lots of memes about like, oh, you're a vaccine truther, but
Yeah, like I drank out of jungle juice out of a trash can in a frat house basement.
Yeah.
I smoked. I did a lot of other stuff. Like even the one time that I told you, I was like, that Red Bull's probably going to hurt you more than the vaccine, or
That's why I switched to Coke Energy. There's nothing bad in this.
Probably also not that much better.
But there's so many things that we use
I
every
know.
day, like even like tampons and just
I use tampons every single day.
You're gonna
and
get toxic
alcohol,
shock, Derek.
stuff that's like so bad to like put in your body, and no one ever says anything.
Oh, I just wanted to point out to Neil in the comments said that AstraZeneca, the COVID shield one. I don't know. She said that a bunch of them were manufactured in India, but I don't know because like that's a weird thing too, because like Oxford could get them, like design them and then get them built in India, because is India still part of the Commonwealth? Like there's a whole problematic history between them and the British Empire. And anyways, so yeah. And so it's like I could see why, I don't know, is there like some weird like Biden doesn't want to use them because they're made in India? Like, are we gonna go full truther on this?
Well, I think it's just they don't have to. Like they've been sitting, they rushed through the FDA approval, which I want to say that if these vaccines are made in India, I don't know that I would count on us getting our second doses in 4 months, because I don't know if anyone noticed, but India's going through some shit right now. And I don't know that they're going to be able to keep pumping out vaccines for the rest of the world when they've had they've been averaging 400,000 cases a day over the past.
Or a death every 5 minutes.
And they're saying they're underreporting their deaths too, like because the death number is astronomical, and they're like, well, we're seeing a lot more burning bodies than what they're saying, so it could probably be higher than that. So it's like, it's basically everybody's worst fear is what's happening in India. Let's talk about something else, because I was gonna say something else, but I don't remember.
Dying bodies on the streets, not really a Sunday topic.
No, it's not.
Speaking of dying bodies in the street, wait, what else do we have on the agenda today?
These are this year's most popular baby names.
Yeah, let's go with that. I mean, you said it.
Oh,
I put it in there because what was it? BuzzFeed was like, and then this is like still like a dumb thing, because they're like, here's the most popular baby names from every country, and you're like, okay. And then in the comments, someone's like, this isn't what people are actually naming their kids. It's what people are searching, I guess, to lead up to naming their kids. But do you want to?
Is there not a correlation there?
Yeah,
well,
I guess
there is.
Yeah.
It's because the number one name for girl and boy is Luna, which is Chrissy Teigen's daughter, I believe. And
wait, that was number one for girl and boy?
No, for girl.
Boy was Arlo, which is some other celebrity's kid. But
I'm glad you on here, because I saw Luna and Arlo and I was like, those are weird like anime character names, and I didn't know they were based on like actual celebrities. But those are the most popular in pretty much like US, Canada, and the UK. And then there's like some random ones like Leo and other ones. But
it was
it's like,
interesting in Pakistan and I think India. Like the name Danger was on both of those lists.
Oh yeah, and
for boys.
So dope.
A weird one that was on there was Lucifer in like non-English speaking countries, and I'm like, I wonder if they're aware of the like religious background of that name, or if they just saw it, like, because if you see Lucifer and it doesn't have a tie-in with the devil, then you're like, is that good? Like, is that a good looking name?
Adam Brody?
Yeah.
Are you just reading through all the lists, the names?
Yes, full name, Adam Brody. It's really popular.
Adam Brody?
As a first name? Hey, this is Adam Brody Smith.
We're the OC generation. So.
Yeah. Oh, another weird one was Luna was one of the main ones in Japan too, which yeah,
there was a lot of like Western names in.
Yeah. But it's like, what's that? What's the language where you make American and like North American stuff sound Japanese? Is it Kakanaka or I don't know. But anyways, it's like the way the syllables match up with Japanese language, like Luna, like the two syllables could, whatever. If you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about.
Wait, what is
Oh,
it?
another big name, number one name was Silas, too. And I just saw that that's Jessica Biel and Justin Timberlake's kid. So
How old is that kid? That kid's got to be like 10.
no, it's their second one. I don't know.
Oh,
Top 5 in Canada for girls.
yeah.
Luna, Maeve. I'm just going to
Maeve?
assume that's a Westworld reference.
Oh, yeah.
I know a Maeve.
Chloe,
Know some
That
Chloe.
sounds-
which I know someone who just had a Chloe.
That sounds like a 90s throwback.
Ophelia. And
Hey, there's that
Ivy.
song. Ophelia, is it by
yeah.
Yeah, the Lumineers. Wait.
yeah.
Top 5 for boys in Canada: Arlo, Silas, Levi. Tell your
Oh,
brother.
my brother's gonna be pumped.
Finn, Finn. Star Wars. Gotta assume.
Past podcast guest Dave Breckenridge has a son named Finn.
There you go.
I believe it's he's gonna kill me because
like that
can't
name.
remember. I can't remember if it's Scottish or Irish, but I think it's short for Finnegan.
Finnegan, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Casey and
Atticus.
Finnegan. And Atticus rounding out the top 5.
Yeah. Like
We're-
the clothing company from the Blink 182 guitarist,
Oh, fuck yeah.
Tom DeLonge.
Tom DeLonge. I think we're seeing as like all these names are very old timey, right? Like,
Yeah. Like Levi
old-timey.
and Finn and Silas and Atticus are they all like Atticus Finch from
Please.
How to
come
Kill a
on.
Mockingbird?
Just to kill a mockingbird. It's not an instructional guide. I will give you 90% on that one.
It's like one of the 6 books I've read that I remember. It's funny because it's like you have all these names that they're like, these are the most popular names. And it's just because some celebrity named their kid that. And that's
I'm always, because we already have our future baby name picked out.
What is it?
Assuming it's a girl, we're not going to fucking.
Oh,
come
me
on.
and Andrea already have one too.
Yeah, but I'm like,
We'll talk about it off air.
we're always worried that like a celebrity is going to name it or one of our friends is going to name it.
Mhm.
And if
Or-
you're listening to this, don't steal our baby name.
The
Thank you.
ultimate douche is you find someone's like prospective baby name and then you name your dog that. Because like
Just
if,
like a huge flex. This
Yeah.
name is not fit for a human.
No
I mean,
one
if
name
you-
your
that's
dog
like-
Stanley, please.
yeah, that was
Or child.
That's a friendship ruiner. Like if before you guys had Noah and named him Noah and I figured it out because that was another reason thing you weren't telling me. And by the way, it fucking drove me nuts. But
Not knowing the name.
yeah, I'd be like, tell me his name. I'm not gonna name
I mean,
my
we
dog
didn't
that.
even know what we were having when we had
Yeah,
Noah. We never
that's
found out
true.
the facts either.
But it's like, could you imagine if I found out your name and then I got a dog and I named it that? You would like never talk to me again.
Well, hasn't anyone ever said to you, "Oh, I have a dog named Dale"? You were like, "Oh, I have a dog named Katie." I'm like, "Great,
people.
It is an awful name for a dog.
Katie."
Dale is a weird name for a dog because it's like everybody who hears my name, they're like, "Oh, I have an uncle named Dale," and it's always like I don't know how many Dales live in Saskatchewan, but there's a lot of
Lots.
people who have uncles named Dale in Saskatchewan, which is fine. I mean, I'm an uncle, so I guess I'm an Uncle Dale now too.
Just got moved to Saskatchewan.
No, thanks. I'm ruined. I can't move anywhere colder than Vancouver. Like I can't move to regular Canada weather because it's just too cold.
BuzzFeed also posted an article this week that was like funny, or it was like names that the nurses had to try to talk the people out of.
Yeah.
And one was like syphilis,
What?
fallopian,
What?
Egbert.
Egbert is
Egbert
a
is dope.
wicked dog name.
that's a human.
Yeah, dog name.
Dude, a Saint Bernard named Egbert, awesome. Or German Shepherd named Egbert. That would work.
Pestilence.
What? Are these people trying to raise like a warlord?
Tarmac.
You should almost let these people name their kid that.
Yeah.
Although that's ruining the kid's life just because your parents is an unbelievably amount of stupid.
I mean,
to name
you
your
might
kid
as well let
Tarmac?
them ruin your life through a name instead of there are a number of ways parents can ruin children.
Yeah.
Just giving them a shitty name is probably the least of them.
Yeah. Go old school and
But just
ruin
imagine
them
how
with
much
negligence.
worse it gets.
Yeah. I can't even imagine. Like, could you imagine how awkward it would be if you were like a nurse and you're like, here's your new baby. And they're like, oh, hey, Tarmac. And the nurse is like, you're what? No.
I just don't understand how you can like look at this newborn baby and be like, that's a Tarmac.
Yeah, exactly. Or pestilence, be like, you're going to end the human race.
You are one of the 4 horsemen now.
Yeah, there'll probably be someone call their kid like COVID or something later on.
Oh, there is almost definitely a child that has been born during COVID that is named COVID. I would bet money on it.
Yeah.
Corona.
We're coming up on time here. I know we always like to ask our guests.
No, we're not. We started late.
I know we always like to ask our guests.
Oh, okay.
Kate, what is something that you personally are mad about right now?
So I'm not so much mad about it. It was just mostly because it was like constantly in the news this week, and like just the news probably that filters through me because of what I look at. But it was this, I guess it was in Time magazine, Reese Witherspoon saying like how unfair it was that the media portrayed her as a good girl and portrayed like Britney Spears as a bad girl.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Reese Witherspoon was trying to.
Yes.
What? So she was just being like, 20 years ago when I got lots of movies and a wicked career because my public relations team made me look like a good girl.
Well, and
I
the
feel
role
bad
she
for it
played
now.
too,
Yeah.
like that she played the good girl in like what election?
Legally Blonde.
Yeah.
Oh, you want a good laugh? Speaking of Reese Witherspoon, there
Cruel
is a
Intentions.
DUI video of her, and she's like super drunk, and her like southern accent is thick, and she's like, "Do you know who I am?" And she's just like
I've heard
wasted Reese Witherspoon. It's so funny.
We get a Queen impression and a Reese Witherspoon impression
Wasted
in the
Reese
same
Witherspoon.
episode. Amazing.
So in
See-
the article, she actually mentioned that,
Yeah.
and like that she like talked about how that launched her to get more grittier roles in her career.
Oh. Yeah, like all those gritty
Like it wasn't a
movies
big
she was
deal.
in. Like
Right now,
that-
she's like she kind of like is not as like nice and like dainty.
What's a gritty movie Reese Witherspoon has been
what was
in?
that one where she did the
Camping
hike?
one.
The hike
Yeah.
movie, which was all about how dumb and like little girl and Phoebus she was when she started this camping trip, and how it like turned her into, it's like a coming of age story.
Well, it's
for-
a true story.
Yeah, it's like I can't remember
She was
what
an
it's
addict,
called.
the woman that
Yeah.
I forget what her name is.
Yeah, it's a story of a woman who was an addict, and she's like, I'm gonna kick this. I'm gonna go on this giant hiking trail that takes weeks, and I'm not gonna prepare for it or anything. And she like threw her boots in the woods in that one scene, and I was like, all right,
Gritty.
yeah,
So gritty.
very gritty. Although it would be funny if she did like old smoker lady where she's like, hey boys, I'm Reese, what's up? Like the old lady at the end of the bar who's seen some shit, and it's Reese Witherspoon. I mean,
Maybe that's in her future.
that would be funny. Like she gets in one of these superhero movies as I'm trying to think of an old lady character in a superhero show. Old Maeve or something.
Old
Well, this
Maeve.
came to a grinding halt.
So her argument was that Also, wasn't Britney Spears? Because I remember back in the 90s, there was Britney Spears and there was Christina Aguilera. And Britney Spears was the good girl, and Christina Aguilera was the bad girl. And then Britney Spears became increasingly unhinged and suffered from an obviously pretty serious mental illness bout. And like, is that what we're saying? Is that like
that's what we're saying was the bad press? Was
that gave her
like
an edge?
She lost her mind.
The bad press was like when she was out partying all the time with Paris Hilton.
Oh.
And like that Paris Hilton was also like painted as a bad girl. And then also too,
it was probably from that accidentally leaked sex tape. Thanks for that trend, Paris Hilton.
I just thought it was kind of shitty because it's just like Britney Spears is like a hot topic right now, and but like it's also like how people have used her whole life to make money off of using her name. So and like now Reese, like that's what's in the headline is how like poor or like not like poor Reese, she was a good girl, but it's
like
it was.
Reese did the like famous person thoughts and prayers where she was like, "Don't forget about me. I feel terrible for what she's going through."
I mean, let's all, keep Reese Witherspoon, who has had like a very long and tenured acting career and has made millions of dollars with her good girl image in our thoughts.
Yeah, exactly. Like let's all not forget about what's going on with her.
Yeah.
Did she in anything recently? I'm going to just look up her...
Little Fires Everywhere.
What is that?
It's a show.
Big Little Lies. She's kind of the same character in both, but not really.
Oh, so she made the switch to like drama TV.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I would say she's probably more on TV now.
Oh, that movie we were talking about where she was a hiker is called Wild.
Yeah.
That's the most known for. Who's it
based off
of? Hold on, I will tell you who it's based off of. It is based off of a chronicle of one woman's 1,100-mile solo hike undertaken as a way to recover from a recent personal tragedy.
Who's the woman?
I'm looking for that cast. Cheryl.
Oh, Cheryl.
It just says Cheryl, one word. It doesn't say who it's based on the IMDb page. So, Cheryl Strayed.
Yes.
And it was based on her book on her memoir called Wild, From Lost to Found on the Pacific Crest Trail. So I guess that's the next answer you were all asking is what fucking trail is 1,100 miles, and that's the Pacific Crest Trail. Derek, you want to hike that? 1,000 miles?
For real. Although we went for it was a 10-kilometer walk on a concrete jetty yesterday, and I spent the last hour of it straight complaining.
I'm starving.
I was actually starving.
Yeah. Well, I think if we went on a 1,000-mile hike, we'd probably bring snacks.
We packed some provisions with. Although I've been watching, we spent some time watching Naked and Afraid today, and I think I could kill and eat an animal just based on watching this show.
Well, emotionally, I think you could kill and eat an animal, but I don't know if you'd physically be able to catch a wild animal and kill it. Like, because they don't have weapons. It's just kind of like them.
Oh, they had, this one dude had like a machete.
Yeah, they get to bring one thing with them. And like, they usually bring a machete. It's the one episode that I watched, though, he like crafted a spear out of wood.
Yeah.
Caught a snake. And then the snake also had eggs in it. So they separated the snake and the eggs and they ate them separately. And then they were like smart enough to cook the eggs in snail shells that they found. I was like, the snail shell was like the pot.
This sounds like the slimiest, most disgusting meal you could possibly make. Be like, I'll
just like
take
snake eggs and snails.
Yeah, steak, eggs, and snail shells. I'd be like, what does it taste like? Boogers. I mean, I'd rather eat that than starve.
I wouldn't. I'd rather starve, probably.
Well, you can tap out whenever.
Okay, I'm just looking back to Reese Witherspoon.
And
Yeah.
Sorry.
also to Tennille, what was Tennille was just saying.
Yeah.
I was reading that there's like a lot of reports where people talk about how like, well, at least on Reddit, how people talk
Real
about they
reports.
ran into Reese Witherspoon and she was like kind of a bitch and like just mean.
Yeah.
That's
They're
for sure
making
trying to get the
Legally
match.
Blonde 3. It's been announced for 2022 in case everybody wanted to know how that trilogy ended.
Is this going to
And-
be like Never Been Kissed legally? Like she goes back to law school as a 50-year-old to try and convince people that she's like
Oh my God, that'd be
a
amazing.
1L.
And they've announced Tinkerbell. And that's the other new movie that it's just an announced. I don't. It's a
Reese-
live action spin on
I'm
the
a
character
fan of
Tinkerbell.
Reese, by the way.
Reese Witherspoon as Tinkerbell?
Yes. And the
The
movie's
voice.
based on Tinkerbell.
A live action?
Yeah.
No.
So
I'm not gonna be.
Maybe she's like
I
adult-
almost said a toxic male thing, but
Adult Tinkerbell.
I'm not gonna do it. Yeah.
what, you're gonna say you would be sexually turned on by Reese Witherspoon in a
He was
micro?
gonna say she was too old.
green
Yeah, I
shirt?
was. Thank you, Kate. I was like to play Tinkerbell, who is like.
Oh my God.
What?
Washed up Tinkerbell trying to get the band together.
See, that
again?
would be like dope, and that
like
is
that
what
voice I
I
said.
think.
It's like, hey, I'm Tinkerbell. What's
Yeah,
up?
that's her smoky woman role.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, she's
it.
like-
It's like
Would you like some fairy dust, kids? I can make you fly. And it's just like some old lady. It's like it's not actual Tinkerbell. It's just some crazy lady who like thinks she's Tinkerbell. Oh, it sounds like it's probably what it's gonna be, and it's.
I
Gonna
feel like this is
super
if that's
dramatic.
not going to be what that movie is. This is one of those ideas where this would actually make a killer screenplay if it's like a down on her luck, like old ass Tinkerbell trying to
Yeah.
like peddle. And it's going to be one of those things where we're like, oh, we could have written that because we had this great idea on our podcast. But we're too late.
They're probably watching this right now, being like, "Oh, that's good.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
good. I'm writing this.
Let's see if we could get someone to let's make her smoke more cigarettes before we shoot. Let's lock it to the pain." Yeah, is there anything else you guys wanted? Oh, I wanted to say something. Joe Biden said America's not racist.
No, Kate's going to correct you on this.
Oh, is she? Correct.
Well,
me.
that article you sent me was kind of like clickbait, where
Yeah, it was.
it was.
I every once in a while when I'm like looking for topics, I like to go to this page called Today. It's just today.com, and it has the like fluffiest, most clickbaity stories. And then I saw this one, and it was like in an interview with them, like a Today exclusive. He said, "I don't think the American people are racist." And then he said something else right after it. He said, "But African Americans are behind the 8 ball in terms of opportunity."
I think he was like saying that on an individual level, the majority of Americans aren't racist, but I don't
Yeah.
think he was denying that like systemic racism exists.
Yeah. It's
Because
just
there are.
it's just funny that he's like saying stuff like this. And
I don't know a president. I mean, if a leader
No
of
one's
a
gonna
country
say
came
that,
out
yeah.
and said, "Yeah, the people I govern are racist," I don't think they would be a very good president.
yeah, like his whole point was Donald Trump's racist and you should vote for me because I'm not Donald Trump.
Yeah,
Like when he said, "If you don't vote for me, you're not black."
I know. Yeah,
What's that?
that was.
Who
that
did he
was
say
the
that
problem.
to? Kid Cudi? No, it wasn't Kid Cudi.
I think, I mean, he said a lot of problematic things himself
Yeah,
about
he
race.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
although that crime bill he wrote in the 90s that was super hard on people of color, that was problematic.
He also, so in that article you sent me, it was like that conversation was with the only like black senator, I think it was,
Okay.
who also said from the GOP, Republican, that also said the
Oh,
exact
Tim
same
Scott.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. He also said that.
Did
America wasn't
anyone
racist.
else think it was a little?
Watch what you say, Derek.
It just seemed a little suspect that like, and maybe this is just me being very cynical, but it's like now the GOP is like, oh, we're going to put this African American senator forward to make our rebuttal, and we're going to put him center stage. It's like it seems to me like it's part of a very like that's not something that just fucking happened by accident.
Well, it's weird that they used him and not Candace Owens. I guess she's just gotten too much hate because usually she's the one
not
they
in
turn
an actual
to.
political.
She's
a talking head.
She's barely a talking head. She's
like the right wing.
She's a blogger.
Yeah.
She's not. But this guy was like an he's an actual politician.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not. That's not to say that he shouldn't have been up there speaking of his own merits. But I just like I see the timing of it, and I'm like, okay, that's a little
kind of like how Caitlyn Jenner is running for governor of California
as a Republican.
Oh yeah, she doesn't believe in gay marriage either, which is weird.
So
she
here's
calls
the thing.
herself a classic values girl.
I would like to know if somebody who is a trans person runs for office and gets elected, but they have a platform in politics that you personally don't agree with, is that still a victory for trans people? Discuss, because I'm not discussing.
From what I've seen, I believe that a lot of trans people were put off by that. Because like even she is saying that how unfair it is for
the college
sports
athletes thing.
Yeah.
Males
or genetic males identifying as females.
I'm gonna say that it is a good step forward for trans people because it shows that America is fully accepting of trans people and allowing them to run in political office.
Yeah, I would agree. Like if a trans person can get elected to the office of governor, like that is a step forward, even if their politics are shitty and they represent a party that by and large does not represent trans people.
That a trans person would be running for Republicans when like historically they're against all like social
advancement. You can just say it. Progress.
I was trying to tiptoe around that. But yeah, it's like although this might be good because it could maybe get Republicans to get more funding into the LGBTQ community and all that stuff. Like, I don't know. Like, I think it's also might just be like a publicity stunt for her brand because like how many Republicans are going to vote?
That's what we thought like started with Donald Trump. Oh.
No, I knew like a lot of people were saying Donald Trump's going to get a lot of votes because it's people just saying, fuck the system. We don't like where it is now. We want change. And then they're like, oh yeah, it doesn't matter who's the president. Stuff is just the machine keeps turning. Like some like surface stuff changes and he can like do some weird executive orders that people don't agree with. But as a core, it's not like the country changed under Trump that much. I mean, you lived there, did it? From the outside, it didn't look like it did. Like there was a lot of what he said was dumb and like suspect like business practices on his behalf, but like the core political and like beliefs of the country seems the same as it did then.
I mean, like personally, I never thought that I would be like living through like what I've seen the past 4 years, just like the racial injustice, protests, a pandemic.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, the Capitol riot, but I don't think that it can solely be based on one person.
Yeah. Another thing that's weird too is just how fast it snapped back. Like now that Biden's there, it's like Trump didn't even happen. We're like, yeah, fuck it. Everything's good. We're good. Don't worry about it. We're just doing all this stuff. Like we're back to bombing Syria and we're still doing all that shit with the like immigrants down south.
Yes.
And yeah.
Now we're just shady on the down low, like back again. So
yeah. I mean,
behind the
If you're
scenes.
gonna be shady, at least do it in secret, like Obama did.
Yeah.
I mean, Obama's a better speaker than Biden, but
Well, it's also like, yeah, like, oh, we're just gonna keep being like shitty.
yeah.
I don't like.
Hey, I'm the guy who forgets words, Derek. Come on.
Well, I'm like, because I'm trying to explain. It's like the U.S. is still going to do the same shit it's always done. Like,
yeah.
the
They
U.S.
have
is
to.
the U.S. But when they have a Democratic leader in office, you have a lot of people just saying it's like turning a blind eye to it, or saying it's under the guise of like progressivism. Whereas like Biden's policies, some of them might be good, but like by and large,
I read somewhere that they like, is this true? In Canada and like other countries, they teach that like Biden is actually on the right. Like Bernie Sanders is actually central.
So the Democratic Party is probably closest to the Liberals in Canada. And the Liberals are like our centrist party. And then we have the Conservatives, which are still probably to the left of Republicans. And we have the NDP, which are actually like a socialist party. But yeah, even like you look at the political sphere in the United States, and it like it starts at the center and goes right from there.
Right.
You do have some parties like.
Sorry, they don't really. I don't know. Actually, I haven't learned politics in school a lot, but like some of the podcasts I've listened to, which are probably conspiracy adjacent, Jimmy Dore, he keeps referring to the Democrats as the neocons, which is I find hilarious because a lot of their stuff is just like financially conservative and stuff. Like they aren't. Like, it's like they're left of the Republicans, like Derek said, but a lot of people are left of the Republicans.
Yeah. Like, I don't think they're, but there's a lot of people in the United States who feel, even in Canada, who feel more at ease with the Democrats in power when it's like, do you know what that party actually fucking does? Like, they're carrying on a lot of the same policies that existed even under Obama. But it's like, oh, because our guy is in power, it's okay. Like we can just like overlook it. The immigration situation is a great example of that because like, yeah, they're still fucking detaining, putting kids in cages at like the border.
Yeah, they didn't just melt down all those cages. And also, I've heard that Obama built those cages, but that's from that conspiracy adjacent podcast I listen to. So I kind of take it all with a grain of salt, but it's like, it's like
whoever can scream the loudest.
Yeah. I mean, on one hand, it might just be like a placation of your mind, knowing your guy's in there. But right now, I think that's exactly what the country needs is just a little peace of mind, even if it's unfounded and wrong.
I will say Biden did his first 100 days address. I didn't watch it, but like seeing it looks like it just felt good for people to know that there's a president who could like do an entire speech without like insulting a significant portion of Americans or calling them idiots or losers or taking a swing at other world leaders or just like generally being a fucking shithead.
Right. Yeah. Like his big news of the week is that he picked a dandelion for his wife.
Oh my God, that was hilarious.
That's like the most like
offensive thing that he personally has done.
Yeah. And I like how depending on the political alignment of the publication, they commented because there's a picture of him holding up the dandelion and some people are like, Biden picks a flower for his wife. And then the other one's like, there's weeds in the White House lawn.
It's like Biden picks a weed for his wife. And he's so simple and senile.
Oh my God. You know what would have made me a diehard, like ride or die Joe Biden fan? If he did that joke, like, you know how you take, cause it's one of those dandelions you blow off the outside and you make a wish. If he was like, make a wish to his wife and then just stuck it in her mouth.
Yeah. But then it would have been like Joe Biden abuses his wife.
Joe Biden assaults
the
his
White
wife,
House lawn.
Dr. Jill Biden.
Yeah. fan for life if he does that. There you go, buddy. You missed your chance.
Have we mentioned that we're toxic males lately?
I'm sure someone's tweeting about it right now.
Yeah, we're trying to do persona to try to get audiences.
It worked for Joe Rogan.
Like attracts like.
It's true.
Yeah.
Anything else?
No, we're over an hour. I think we're good.
Okay.
You said you don't have anything you're mad at, Kate. I don't have anything I'm mad at. Yeah.
All right. Kate, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
A fantastic guest. If people would like to learn more about you or your endeavors on the internet, where can they find you?
They can find me at The Sober Kates on Instagram or Crandalka. And that's pretty much it because I'm off of Twitter now.
For the best. Oh, is it weird to bring up that you quit Twitter because of the whole Bean Dad thing?
Yes.
And then
I quit
came
Twitter
back?
because I was mad. I was tired of people like calling my husband all these shitty things on the internet and just not here for it.
I'm tired of it too.
Does that mean I have to stop ripping on him too, or you'll stop being my friend?
It's just like the Derek hate club, and I'm just like over it.
I very
Makes
much
sense.
regret going back on Twitter. Like, it's just like,
dude.
especially like, I do think that Twitter is very emblematic of like the mental health crisis that we're all going through as a result of COVID, because it's just getting increasingly more shitty and more negative. And like, I went on there the other day and some dude had like said some fucking dumb thing about an IUD. And he was like talking about an IUD to a woman, which like, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. But like the fucking outrage pod jumped on him,
another outrage pod?
and started fucking like shitting all over this guy and being like, fucking don't mansplain, don't talk about IUDs to a woman, you fucking idiot. And the guy just like dug in and kept digging himself. And it was just like watching all these strangers shit all over each other on the internet. And like, why can't we just like walk away from that and be like, oh, I'm being unkind to this person, even if they are a fucking idiot. Like, we don't have to coddle them for their bad opinions, but we also don't have to like, a lot of people have gotten to a point where they're like, I'm just going to shit all over another human being because I disagree with them.
Like,
and
take
like,
out
you would never fucking do that in person. You would never do that in person.
Right. And another thing is too, like, it's the internet. It feels like it's, you know, like online bullying or whatever for adults. And it's okay because it's on Twitter, and that's just what Twitter is. And then we're going to also like be upset for weeks because I got into an argument with someone about Bean Dad or IUD guy like made me so mad that I like have to go to bed early.
Yeah.
It's bad for our brains.
I honestly feel like Twitter might be dying. Like, I feel like there's less interaction on it, and it does feel like it's a lot of people taking all their frustrations out on that platform, and that might be from COVID and everybody being locked up and languishing, which is the new trendy thing to say about what's happening to you.
It is, thanks to that New York Times article.
We could have talked about that, but I guess we just did.
Nice.
But
we're living it.
Yeah, it might be that we're all languishing and we're all striking out.
You
or
say
it
that
could
a little
just
more
be
dramatically when
the
you
platform languishing.
We're too exhausted to talk about languishing.
Oh, it was funny because Andrea was reading about that article and she's like, what do you feel like your mood is about this whole thing? I was like, sardonic. She's like, he's like making fun of stuff. I was like, that's how I'm handling it.
It's like 99% of your processing is like, we just mock it and then go cry into a pillow afterwards.
Yeah, and it's like that's what Twitter's become now. And it's like most people are now being like, oh, I could just go I spend a lot of time on Reddit now because you could go and you could get in a subreddit that's like made me smile, and it's just all these feel good happy stories,
wholesome
or
memes.
like,
check it out. I love it.
Yeah, exactly. Or like cute animals or whatever.
Nature is lit.
Yeah, I guess there's stuff like that on Twitter, but I feel like maybe it might also be just that it's a text based predominantly. Like you could put on GIFs and photos and stuff, but it's like started as text, so it's still text heavy. And there's like with
it just
text,
feels like a
always
stream
like
of conscious, or like not even consciousness of like people don't have something, like they can't text it to their friends or like say it to another person, so they just tweet it.
Yeah. Oh yeah, like they're just like, it's like the throw this against the wall thing.
Yeah, but you raise a good point. Like Reddit is Reddit is where I go when I want to feel good about the world. Or like, and like Twitter, I can go and log on to Twitter right now, and I'm sure at least one of the top 5 tweets I see will be someone complaining about something. Like, just go, let's do an experiment right now.
Bet.
Right now.
Yeah.
No.
No.
Oh, here we go.
Number 5.
Dale, this is one that you'll be able to relate to.
Yeah.
I downloaded the Sonic movie to watch together with some douchebag who strung me along. Good riddance to them, but like, is that movie actually any good? I never would have considered watching it otherwise, but now I have it and I don't know. LOL.
I'm going to say this. Since you're obviously single and your partnership for the night has left you, and you might want to take care of things by yourself, there are worse ways to do that than watching a hunky cut James Marsden.
I do want to say that, like,
why'd my camera just turn off?
Oh, you froze.
Can you hear me?
I can.
You're frozen though.
You're frozen.
Yeah, it just said camera off. I'm being censored. I said James Marsden was too hot.
You've been deplatformed for being too hot.
Weird.
I think it's hilarious that somebody was on a date and they downloaded Sonic the movie to watch.
And they still watched it though.
No, they haven't watched it. They were asking.
They were asking if they should.
Oh, I got lost.
Yeah.
Huh.
Fine. It's fine.
All
I'm
right.
good for the Twitter.
Well, it says my video camera itself actually shit the bed. So
okay. Well, that's the universe telling us to wrap it up. So hey, everyone, thanks for joining us for this episode 169 of Outrage Factory. If you fucking like us, head on over to Facebook at facebook.com/outragefactpod or Twitter at twitter.com/outragefactpod. After
even though we said you shouldn't, still go to our Twitter.
Go to our, Twitter by and large is a shit platform that will make you feel worse about anything, but please go follow us on it because our tweets are great. You can also follow me personally on Twitter at Herder.
You can follow me personally on Twitter at SuperDalebot.
Wherever you get the podcast, please rate, review, and subscribe. Say nice things about us.
Tell your friends. Tell your friends.
Head on over to motherfucker. Head on over to what's our Redbubble? Yeah,
Redbubble. People Dalebot, because I just put it all up on my personal stuff, and you could get stickers, you could get t-shirts. Oh, brand new tank tops with the new tiger logo. Look fly as hell.
Just in time for summer.
Yeah.
Show your pecs or your boobs off for summer with one of our fly tank tops. And until next week,
stay angry.